Chapter 11, Help is on the way, Q&A. Bev, talk to us about support structures for single parents.
A lot of support structures for single parents are being found today in communities, but not everybody lives in a community. So one has to try and find a solution for that, and it's very important. Married people, partnered people also need support structures. Again, in today's times, we often find that the one partner is working abroad, working away, traveling, etc. And so there's a lot of single parenting happening without there being a single parent, if you know what I mean. So the importance of it for me is that you can't always cope. You just can't. And sometimes it just gets so dark and so terrifying and you feel so broken. And sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's just that you've got 3 children and one has to get to the doctor. And what do you do if you don't have some kind of support system? So I think what has been established around the world and in different ways is that there's a lot of awareness and consciousness that's developing that people need support and they need support structures. But for a lot of us, we have to make it ourselves. And it's not always just available with friends. And sometimes we have a mother with her children or a father and his children and they move to a new town. So then what do they have? So again, it comes down to the skills that one needs in interacting with other people to build relationships, to build a support structure, etc. Knowing full well, I don't need to drink from this well right now, but I might need to in the future. And you don't want to be digging a well when you're thirsty. That's late. You want to have the well there. You want to have the water there. And then when you need it, you go and draw the water out. But if you come across a patch of land which may or may not be arid and you need water, you're in trouble. So the support structures have to be put in place before you need them.
And it is about asking for help, isn't it? Because so many parents, I've heard them say, but nobody ever offers. My mother-in-law never offers. But if you're not asking, then then I guess you're making assumptions as well. So, but you also say, importantly, that it means leaving our comfort zones, which we're also loath to do.
Part of that is about not wanting to admit we need the help. Don't we so often find that with people? They don't want to admit they need the help. They do need the help. That's okay. They don't want to admit it. So someone will say, well, do you need me to help with this? No, I'm fine. Do you need me to help with this? No, I'm fine. And then after a while you go, well, she's fine, he's fine. They don't want the help, and you just stop offering. And in the assumption that, well, if she needs it, she'll ask for it. And then there is no ask, there's no communication. That's what it always comes down to. You're not living consciously. You think that if you ask for help, you have less value as a human being. You're less capable. No. When I need help, it's because I recognize that as valuable as I am, as capable as I am, I do not currently have enough resources to finish this off myself, to get this done myself, to be in 2 places at once myself. We haven't quite mastered that yet. So in my acknowledgement of needing assistance, I'm not saying, here I am, weak, broken, and unable to cope with being a parent. I'm saying I recognize that as capable as I am and as much as I'm getting done, I am not enough in this particular situation. I need assistance, please. There's no recognition of anything else. So when people can walk over that bridge and get to the other side or stand on it and look at the view and say, you know what, this is okay. This does not compromise my value as a human being, how special I am, what needs I have. All it says is that right now, please, I need assistance.
And doesn't it particularly apply to working moms who often feel guilty about not spending enough time with their children?
That's a very different thing, though. That guilt is coming from a different place to needing assistance. Guilt about not being enough for your child or not being with your child enough or your child not experiencing love enough is a very unhealthy source of emotion, and it doesn't help. It's almost as heavy as unforgiveness, because the child feels when you are with them that you're trying to make up for something, and they don't get a genuine sense of your loving. They can't have an authentic experience of you because you're too busy trying to make up for not having been there. You can't make up for it. You weren't there, it's okay. I find this prevalent amongst the white communities, the need to not be away from your child, or the guilt that comes with going back to work. And yet, do we look around in beautiful South Africa and acknowledge the fact that we have families separated from very soon after children are born for ages, who barely get to see their children, and there's this is what I have to do. This is what I have to get done so that you can have your needs met. I'm still your mother. I still love you. I still honor you. I still honor that relationship. But if I stay with you, we're not going to survive. If I leave you in the care and love of the people who love you, and I go off to be able to provide for you, you will have more. And when we're together, we will make that quantitative time magical between us and reconnect with our love for each other in a tangible way. But our love is not compromised when we're apart. And I think that is something that we need to blend into our cultural community, is that you are not lacking in your capacity to love because you're not physically with the other person. You are not lacking in your experience of their love when you're not physically with the person. And if you are, then you do not appreciate what the true tangible bond is between people. My love for my son exists with or without us being present in each other's room. He's at school right now. We're sitting here and we're doing this. He knows I love him. I know he loves me. We have a beautiful, tangible, clear connection of affection between us. It is not broken when I go away. If I go to a resort, if I take time out, he recognizes and honors that I need me time breaks for 3 or 4 days at a time, a couple of times a year. He honors that because we have learned we can survive without each other, which has been very hard work for us, because after the hijacking that we had when he was 8 months old, we clung to each other for years, and we were terrified to be apart, and there was huge guilt and frustration and anguish that I felt ever separating from him. And it all came from a place of inadequacy and insecurity and fear. It didn't come from a place of love and knowing love survives boundaries and breakages and bonds going far apart. Love does not need to be tangible to be existing. It needs to be existing, and whether you're together or not, it remains in existence. And guilt, therefore, has no place because you've done nothing wrong by going to work.
Bev, can you give some examples of where people can outsource support?
There are different kinds of groups that are around, and there is on my website, there is access to the kind of groups that are available, and there's links to that. And there's also a system to establish your own group. I call them a belong group, because everyone should look outward to nurture generously. And if people do that, it's the same as trying to make small talk at a party. We all want to feel comfortable in talking, but we don't know how to get it going. And so the belong group is really about creating small groups in and around where you live of people who in desperation can share eggs, and I just don't have the time to go, can I borrow 5 eggs, and etc. But there's a reciprocity and an understanding that this is a support group that isn't necessarily family, and it's not even necessarily friendship, but it is a support group. Can friendship come from that? Yes. How lovely. But it is something that is there you can rely on. So you can call someone up and say, I'm not coping, I need 5 minutes, and you do a trade-off. And then they'll call you another time and get 5 minutes, and you can be able to say, I'm not coping, I feel like I'm going mad, and the other person can say, I hear you, totally in your corner, you're doing great, let's breathe in a few times together, okay, go bath your 4 screaming children.
Bev, won't you just end off with giving us your website address again?
www.bevmilun.co.za.